And can you hear us okay?
I hear you now.
Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure before we get started. All right, everybody, at 7:30 on the East Coast, we're going to get started. If everybody please stand and face the flag. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Let's start out with just a simple, real quick introduction. My name is John Knott. I am the president of Orlando Amateur Radio Club. We welcome you here to Orlando Amateur Radio Club's August 2025 meeting. Is there any guests or first timers here? Everybody will stand for a second. We're just going to have you introduce yourselves so everybody knows who you are. Have a stand. Yeah, you said everyone's our hands friends.
Hands and friends. All right. My name is Ray Whitkins. I was brought over here by George. I've had several amateur radio books in my household, but I decided to read this one an hour ago and tried to take the test, and I got 2/3 of the way there. But I'll be back next month. I'll do it right.
We welcome you. We go to the back of the room. So we're gonna have you introduce yourselves.
Okay, so I'm Daniel. About what?
So good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick. This is Daniel. My wife, who does not want to talk in the microphone, Cindy. My wife was able to take the test this evening, is now a technician. And now we're looking for 3 seats together.
And you were here first time? No, second time. Okay. I thought it's somewhere in this area. There's another hand. Maybe I was seeing things. Okay. Want to make sure that we got it. If there's 3 seats, if we can get these folks to have a seat together, it'd be great. All right. Yeah, I think there's just scooting around. We got some Bob C. test session.
Okay, as of the test tonight, we did have one person that tried to take the test and didn't pass, but we did have 5 people that passed the technician tonight and 2 people upgraded to extra.
Excellent. Congratulations. And I'm sure our one person will come back next month. I have a feeling there's going to be like you're going to be strung along to make sure you come here. All right. A couple things I want to sit there and talk about real quick tonight before we go into our break and then our subject of the meeting tonight. Sally Ride Elementary. I think everybody probably remembers the school that we helped with last year. 3 of our teachers went to the successfully completed one of the electronic classes at the Teachers Institute held at ARRL, which I think is where Ken is right now, aren't you? Yep. Ken is up at the Teachers Institute up at ARRL headquarters in Newington, Kentucky. But they passed it last week. I'm sorry, Connecticut. I did say Kentucky. Sorry. The first week of school starts next Monday. Teachers report it back to school this week. And we're going to work out a time to schedule our visits to Sally Ride Elementary. And once I get that all firmed up, I will let you guys know what the plan is and what type of help we need and stuff. So we'll make a couple visits through the school year and introduce amateur radio to the students this year's class that she has at Sally Ride Elementary. Looking forward to it. I put in the newsletter. Everybody get the newsletter? I sent an email out. Have you downloaded off the website? Okay. Kind of like to get OARC back into doing kind of the radio sports. Okay. So what I'm doing is trying to look for an individual who is interested or wants to get more information on the radio sports part, contesting. Not necessarily always being a group. Doesn't have to be where everybody gets together in one location. Maybe the rules of the contest allows everybody to participate from home, but as a club, still that way. If you're interested in hitting that up, getting information to everybody and saying this contest is coming up on this particular weekend and we need X amount of participants and this is what the rules are, whatever, let me know. Because I'd like to get our club back into doing things like this again. We kind of put it aside quite a while ago. I think it's time to get back together and start doing those type of things. So if you're interested, please let me know. Maybe one of the guys that in here that likes to do contesting already, be a good candidate to do this. So, if you have that interest, please let me know. Some information came out this morning that was kind of a little bit heartbreaking. For those of you who have been around for amateur radio for quite some time, and maybe even know individuals that held positions on the board of directors for ARRL, probably know Frank Butler. W4RH was his call sign. Frank was our director here in the Southeast Division for probably 10 years, 10, 12 years, 10, 15 years, maybe even longer. Passed away apparently this past weekend. I'm not sure if this is 100% correct, but I did read somewhere that somebody posted that Frank was 100 years old when he passed away. Let's see. He was frequently seen here at Hamcation. He would pretty much always was at the Hamfest in the ARRL booth, Huntsville Hamfest, Stone Mountain Hamfest, Dayton. He was up there often, especially when he was on the board. He probably was one of the friendliest hams you'll ever find. He was an ambassador to amateur radio. Trying to think what else to say. And the amazing thing about Frank was no matter the ever-changing political landscape in amateur radio, he always had that smile on his face and stuff, and he knew how to deal with it, especially on the board. You got your hand up? He was in the Panhandle. I don't know exactly where in the Panhandle, but it was up toward the Pensacola area. Yeah, very close up in that area and stuff. Last time I remember seeing him at Hamcation was probably 2 years ago. He was in ARRL booth. I did not see him last year at Huntsville. Yeah, it's been a while since it did not know exactly what had happened, but anyways, word came out this morning. So I don't know if Frank was married or he had family or not. I have no idea. He was always down here by himself. Oh yeah, definitely. He was definitely on the radio a lot. So I know when I first got involved in amateur radio, he was our director. Dick Jansen also passed away. A lot of people probably knew Dick Jansen and AMSAT. He was also the Orange County Aries EC for several years, I think. And he passed. Be honest with you, I thought he actually passed away a couple years ago, but I found out he passed away in May of this year. I thought I had read something that he had passed away before, but Larry, I think you posted something about it that Dick had passed away in May and stuff. So I don't know if he probably was a member of OARC at one point, but I know he was a very inactive ham in the past 4 or 5 years. Yeah, 2000 more inactive. He tried. I know when he moved to his retirement home that he tried to set up a radio there and was having issues with it. So all right. Some other information real quick. The club Christmas party. Start getting this in everybody's ear. Is Saturday, December the 6th at 6 o'clock at the Knights of Columbus over on Cornelia and Cimarron Boulevard, where it's always been held at. Tickets will go on sale starting next month, September, October, and November meetings. You have to purchase your tickets in advance. Tickets are not sold at the door. So we make sure we have enough food for everybody. and free booze if you bring it. And then we'll get more information out to everybody, probably starting next month on it. We'll do the Toys for Tots drive as we always do. 2 big boxes, we fill it up, and then it's usually overflowing, so it's greatly appreciated. And well, more information to follow once everything gets wrapped up or tied up into what's going to happen. There is I'm not going to steal Ken's thunder here, but I do want to mention Joda is coming up October the 17th through 19th. Actually, you have almost all month, don't you, have in October? But the main weekend is 17th through 19th. Say the dates, please. Ken's going to need a lot of help with that. Ken, can you tell us again on average, how many scouts go through your line or your weekend?
All right. So we will be there every Saturday in October and sometimes a couple weekends at the end of September. Our camp capacity is 2,200 scouts. So we could see between 1,800 to 2,000 scouts each of those weekends. We try to get as much help as we can.
So Ken needs help. That's a lot of scouts to sit there and introduce to amateur radio in one weekend. Okay. So Ken, if you want to get more information, we can get in the newsletter. Whatever help you need, so we can make sure we get some people your way. And just so you know, if it wasn't for what the effort that Ken does and many others with youth and amateur radio, our hobby would sunset if we don't have people coming up behind us to continue that hobby. Okay. And then one last quick reminder to everybody: Wayne Nelson's Traders Net is every Tuesday night, 8:00 on 146.76. You can come and list your items that you have for sale. You can come listen to find out if there's something that you want to buy, or you can just check in and say, "Hey, I'm here." Okay. Anyway, you're more than welcome to come and participate. It was canceled this week at kind of last minute because thunderstorms. It decided to really come down like cats and dogs and lightning and thunder like crazy during that time. So that's going to happen from time to time. But it usually happens pretty much every Tuesday night. Bob is the net controller, and 8:00 on the 146.76 repeater. So you'll find some great deals on amateur radios and many accessories. So please come out and join us. Michael. I thought I was getting everything changed on here. My format, I still have 2025, supposed to be 2026. Hamcation 2026. See, I have a format I use every month, and I try to make sure I keep it up to date, but I forgot to update which Hamcation is coming up.
All right, Hamcation 2026. So the website is live. If you go to the website now, you can purchase tickets. You can sign up for volunteering. And yes, we need lots of volunteers. Also, on the website, the awards page is live now. We'll be putting out a press release on that in the next 2 or 3 days. So, and there is a new award that we are doing this year called the Radio Hero Award. It is for someone like in Aries or something that's used a radio to save a life, run a critical net control, something like that. All the details are on the website of what needs to be done to submit somebody for that one. So also, I'd like to welcome 2 new committee members to the committee. Larry Monroe in the back of the room, N2HBX, has stepped up to take over the transportation chair. And Kim Wells has stepped up and actually going to take over Talkin for us. So those 2 people have stepped up to be on the committee. So thank you. Then also for last year, a lot of people's been asking about donation checks. Hamcation did not pull a profit this year, unfortunately. So for this year, we are not going to do donation checks. So again, this is something that happens. This is the first year I know of since I've been in Hamcation that we have not pulled a profit. This is the first year that we have not done donation checks that I know of. So we've already tightened up things for next year for expenses, stuff like that for Hamcation, changed a lot of things. So going forward for next year, hopefully we can still do this. But again, it's all based on profits of Hamcation. That's what's going on with checks as of last year. If you have any questions, please see me during the break and I will talk to you further about it. That's all I have.
Okay. Ed reminded me of one silent key I forgot to mention. It was in our newsletter. If everybody might remember Andy Anderson, AJ4 VQN. Andy was our swaps chairman one year, longtime volunteer for Hamcation. He had some health issues the past couple of years. Hadn't seen him for a while. Then all of a sudden, this past Christmas party, he showed up. Him and his wife were there. And then we got word a month ago now, roughly about a month ago, that he actually passed away in April and stuff, April 7th. So please keep, I think it was Carol. It was Andy's wife's name. Carol and their son, I can't think of their son's name at the moment, in your thoughts and prayers. So the worst part about being president is silent keys. All right, let me go to anybody here, any of the board members. Does any of the board members have anything? No? No board members? Okay, so coming up after our break, we're going to take our break. Oh, we're actually early tonight. Jesus. Sorry about that. Didn't realize it was going to be that early. Good.
All right. I did have one other thing about Hamcation. I do have tickets for sale. I will actually leave them with Bill over there. He will lovely take your money for tickets. So if you like tickets, also there's postcards over there with save your date. The other thing I forgot to mention also, Huntsville Hamfest is coming up in about a week and a half. So Hamcation will have a booth there to promote Hamcation and look for new vendors and stuff like that. If you have nothing to do that weekend and want to take a little trip up to Huntsville, it's a good little show. It's all indoors. So go support another Hamfest. That was it.
Huntsville is Rocket City. They have a great space NASA facility there to go visit. So it's good. I'm not going to say a day trip because it's pretty much a day trip to get there. Couple days there, and then a day trip back and stuff. But it's a lot of fun. Our presentation tonight is Ask the Elmer. All those amateur radio related questions that you wanted to know or ask an Elmer, but haven't been able to know who to ask. So who are you going to ask? You're going to ask us. And one of us hopefully will be able to answer. If not, one of us will find the answer for you. Okay. And sit there and get back to you on what your answer your question. So if you have anything that you particularly want to know, I know that Tor in the back sent in about 8 questions, something like that, on email in advance. I think Ed was able to get answers already for some of them. We'll share those answers, and hopefully somebody will be able to answer the other questions he has. So we'll take our break. Once everybody sets up in the back, we'll come back in about 15 minutes and continue on with the program. And hopefully when we do adjourn this evening, it won't be raining outside. Wishful thinking. Couple other things real quick while everybody's finished up in the back, getting things set up. Other Hamfest coming up. Melbourne comes up in October. Stone Mountain comes up in November, up in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And then Tampa area, or Plant City, is usually the second weekend of December. And then there are a few other little tailgates and things around the state. But those are some of the bigger Hamfests that we do attend to promote Hamcation and stuff. So lots of opportunities to get your supplies. Of course, then Hamcation is February 13th, 14th, and 15th next year. Please come out and support us also. Volunteering, or just come out, get a ticket and enjoy the weekend with us. Bobbin, you about ready? All right. 15 minutes, guys. We'll come back about 5 minutes after 8, and we'll have Ask the Elmer. Told him that. All right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started again. How many in the past? I've got a question for everybody. How many in the past had helped us with the American Diabetes Tour de Cure? Okay. Quite a few of you guys in here. I got some information. Slightly positive, nothing definite yet. Michael and I had lunch with Caesar a couple weeks ago. Find out, hey, what's going on and stuff. Plus, I hadn't seen Caesar in a while, so we've been friends for 20 plus years. So we decided we need to have lunch. So Caesar gave us an update. He has been told. Now, let me go back from it. Everybody remembers that we didn't do the event this year because they brought this paid company in to take care of everything. Even though the paid company says, yeah, we'll still have you do the radio stuff, but amateur radio rules, there's a gray line about providing information to a paid agency like this and stuff. So anyways, fast forward to our luncheon meeting. Caesar was informed or has been told that the company nationwide has not been able to perform what they said they could do. Okay. Which we kind of knew it wasn't going to happen. Also, Caesar said that the bigger rides, like the Orlando ride, has now had to start paying for the smaller rides who haven't been able to produce the money income like we thought would happen. Okay. So they've been put on notice that they need to perform or their ADA is going to cancel the contract. We don't know when that can happen. We hope that could happen before the ride next year. We keep our fingers crossed so we can help them again. However, Caesar probably thinks they might have to go one more year with our ride here in Orlando because it's so early in the year. They might have to give them that one more chance here locally. But honestly, it doesn't look very good for them. I don't wish failure on anybody, except maybe that company. Okay. We've done that ride for many years. We love doing the ride. But there's that fine little gray line about what information we can provide to a company that's being paid to do a service compared to what we used to do as volunteers and stuff. So I want to give you that update. As soon as I hear something, believe me, people are going to know fast. Okay, because I'm going to spread the word fast that we're coming back next year. I hope, if not, hopefully the following year at the latest. And stuff. I've told Caesar, Michael and I told Caesar that you have the support of the amateur radio community still here waiting to help, but we can't help the way we've been helping. If they even go back, scale it back the way it was before where the production company took care of everything but what we did, we'll still be able to come back because we're not reporting to them. We'll be reporting to ourselves or the ADA on stuff, American Diabetes Association. Okay. But until that happens, we can't help. None of us wants to risk our license and get in trouble with it. So, a couple other quick things before we get started again. If you've ordered a name badge recently, except for one gentleman, wherever he's at, right there, he asked for his to be mailed. It's sitting on my desk and I was going to mail it tomorrow and he showed up tonight. Apologize. I even sat there and told him, I said, I even thought about bringing it because just in case you showed up tonight. And I said, well, no, you asked for it to be mailed. So I was going to mail it. So it will go out and mail tomorrow. But if you ordered a name badge, please make sure that you pick it up. Okay. If you're here tonight, if you haven't received your ID card or your membership card, make sure that you go by and pick it up. There's quite a few there. So if you've renewed recently and haven't gotten it, it's probably up there in the stack. Appreciate if you get those picked up so our little stack will kind of deplete and I have a bunch of them standing waiting. Okay. And then if you ordered a name tag tonight, we'll get those as soon as possible. Just so you understand, we do order them in kind of a batch. He ships them in a box. One little name tag or 10 name tags is the same amount of money. So we try to give him the benefit of the doubt for postage that he has quite a few name tags to send us instead of one every month and stuff. So it might take a month or two, but we'll definitely get it. All right. I think that's it. Ed, you ready? All right. Give it to the MC.
Good evening. Got a nice crowd. I'm really surprised to see this many of you show up. I'm glad you did come. One more thing.
One more thing. All right. I just got handed this during break. So talk about Sally Ride. The astronaut who talked to the students. Dennis saw her a month ago. She was a few weeks ago. She was in town, signed a photo of herself for the school, and we'll present it to the school next week or so, or probably when we get back from Huntsville. For present to the school for their signed photo. And you said she remembered the contact, obviously. So, I mean, was it 10 minutes, 12 minutes? 10 minutes, a full 10-minute contact with a space station. So I just want to show that to you guys. I'm sorry.
Several months ago, and I don't know exactly how many months ago, one of the club members in here approached John and asked him if he would consider having a program someday where we could just ask questions. And so we were able to, unfortunately, I couldn't get a guest speaker for August. So August turned out to be the ideal time to have an opportunity to ask questions. Now, the way this will work, you get a chance to ask a question. Any of us can ask a question, and probably any of us can answer that question. So if you know the answer to the question, just kind of get my attention and I'll ask you to stand up and answer the question. So if we get started, has anybody got a question about ham radio that they need answered? Tonight's the night. Okay. Yes, sir.
Don't be shy. We're hams. You got to be microphone friendly.
Working on my mic skills. I last time I tried to set up an antenna indoors was a dipole antenna for about 20 meters, and it set the smoke detector off in my house. I'm sure a lot of us have had that. Are there? I've heard about magnetic loop antennas. Would they input the same, RF on my?
They might, and you won't know until you put one up and try it. My son had a vertical antenna in his backyard in Atlanta. It was a Hustler 5-band vertical. It set off his security alarm in his house every time he got on 40 meters. Every other band, it was fine. But yeah, you give it a try and it's probably let you know.
Will actually every
I have one question. Did your smoke detector go off because it started smoking, or did it just start going off? Okay.
And to add to that, I have just a regular infed antenna, and I just moved back in 2005, and I was using a WinLink station. It runs itself, and it did the same thing. The touch lamp would go, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. My mom said, "Can you look into this? I think we have a poltergeist."
Very good. How about another question? We have another one? We got about 7. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. Let me go to the back. I got it. Coming around to you.
This may be a basic question, but can you tell me what Echolink is, how it works, how do you get on, and can you dial up like another city or country?
I don't know the answer to that. So who knows the answer to that in here?
Bob.
Bob.
You know the one name that every club has at least one of?
Bob. Okay, Echolink is a piece of software. You have to be a ham radio operator. You have to have a license to register it. I don't know if there's a fee or not, but you need to send in. Let me get over here. You're over. I'm going to get over where you are. I run the Echolink next Thursday evening for our areas group. I'm a sysop, so I can have more than one person log in. You'll have a call sign and a node number. My call sign for the node is my call sign -L. It's a link to my house, to my Echolink. You check in and we can talk back and forth. You can talk to anybody over the world, but you have to double click on their link. It'll activate it. You don't need a license. You do need a license for that. I don't know. I mean, Echolink is it's not over the air, but they do repeaters. I'm not a handheld. We need like I can have Echolink on my phone. It's not an HT type of thing. Echolink is computer based. It is not Android. It's a PC and Mac. So just look.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So if you said you have a link -L, what are some of the other things you could connect to?
On Thursday evening, I have an Echolink net for our Aries group, and I can have people check in. I can have, if you're just your call sign, you can only talk to one person at a time. I can have 20 people at one time in my room. You still have to push the space bar, you talk, push it again, you stop. So the sysop mode, which is the L-L, you can have multiple people in one gathering. I have Echolink on my phone. So hold this one, John.
Android and Apple.
Okay, did that help?
No, there are some other options. You can have it hooked up to a radio where you can actually use a radio to get into Echolink. And also you can use a radio that's probably has Echolink hooked up to a repeater and access the code. With access code, you can actually dial into other countries or other repeaters. We do, but it's not hooked up to a repeater. It's just on his desktop at home.
Okay, how about another question? All right, I'm going to read email. Tor, are you here? Where are you at? You had several questions that you sent in to Ask an Elmer, and that's great. Glad to get them. The first question is, what is considered to be the best log program? What kind of log program are you looking for? Just logging simple contacts or for contesting, or what do you want to do? Both? Okay. Anybody that's using a logging program in here probably has the answer, and they're all going to be different. Depends on how simple you want it to be, how complex you want it to be. There are a couple of favorites, though, that we use during field day. Maybe that would be something you want to look into. How much do you want to spend on it? What kind of computer you want to run it on? Okay, so somebody got an example of a good logging program they want to recommend a tour.
I would say I know myself and also Osceola County Aries, we use the N3FJP logging software for the events, and I also use the amateur contact log to log all my contacts. And it works great, uploads to QRZ, logs to Log of the World, outputs in ADIF files. So yeah, and you can even, with the software, it'll even do all the cat control to connect to the radio, get the frequency and information off there as well.
Okay. Okay.
That was the one I was going to mention.
Did that help? Okay. Another question was, what equipment is needed to be active on FT8?
Or did you get that one toward the second question? Did you about the FT8? What'd you say again, generally?
WJRJX XJT is the software you want, and it will connect to your radio. You connect to most of your modern radios have a USB connection to serial, or you can get a TNC device that connects it. What is signals? Yeah, there's Digi-Rig will work. There's another signal, something I can't remember the name off it. Signal Link. Yeah, that sounds right. Some of the more modern ICOM radios and Yaesu radios, you can just connect the USB to your computer and it presents these serial control and the sound card devices over that connection. I primarily do FT8, FT4 myself, and actually have my CQ award for that. There's not a lot of stuff.
Okay. Another question?
Okay, there are several questions related to bonding and grounding. And the first question was, are the recommendations given in the ARRL publication, Grounding and Bonding, sufficient for amateurs living in Florida, or are there other extra recommendations for us, since we tend to be more lightning prone than amateurs living in other states? Well, I went and contacted Ward Silver. He's the gentleman who wrote the bonding and grounding and bonding book for ARRL, and he's answered actually 4 of your questions related to that. The first answer to this particular question, he said, I'd start by reading Ron Block, NR2B's new book, Lightning Protection, A Comprehensive Guide for Amateur Radio. Ron was one of my book's reviewers and was an early Polyphase employee. He goes into considerably more detail than my book does. No contradictions, just deeper discussions. And he lives in Florida, so he has that lightning environment in mind. Then reinforce the book's content by paying extra attention to the protected zone concept from Ron Block and making sure everything is well bonded. Conductors should be heavy, short, and direct with a minimum of bending. This is more important in your environment. The perimeter ground is more important. Ground conductors should be expected to carry significant surge currents from a direct to a nearby strike. Any lightning arresters should be inspected every few months to look for damage, and other protective components replaced if there's any hint of damage. Surge protectors for AC power should be selected for very large energy ratings. That's his answer to that question. I'll give you these, by the way, before we leave tonight, all right? Okay, the second question, if you have a grounding system described in the ARRL book and a lightning strikes to the ground near your home, will this mean you can get high transients and pulses into your house via your grounding system? Yes, it does. Yes, you can definitely have significant ground currents. This will cause very large voltages between ground rods if they are not bonded together. The external connections should be welded. Additional wire run from the ground rod out into the yard or surrounding area are probably a good idea to help dissipate the charge. Pay attention to code about running ground conductors near fuel lines or tanks. Do not run any ground system conductors through the structure. Try to have the ground connections for all of your external services and the antenna system close together to limit the voltage drop between them from ground currents. Okay. These are all good questions. Great questions. Third question is, should your radio equipment be disconnected from both antenna and station ground during a lightning storm? Ward says it won't hurt. If you do disconnect the feed lines or control lines, do it outside the structure and keep them at least 6 feet from the structure. Replacing the open feed lines with a short circuit termination would also help protect station equipment. The commercial antenna protector devices that apply shorting and disconnected relays are helpful in protecting radios too. And finally, the fourth question I have on this, for those who can't install a station ground recommended by ARRL, what else can be done to protect your equipment and also have all your equipment at the same voltage ground level? His response was to bond all your equipment together no matter what, and it must be connected to the AC safety ground. That will keep it at the same voltage, but will not be at the ground potential, whatever that is. Use the protected zone concept that Ron Um, do-do-do-do. Run. I can't read around the corner. Ron Block recommended. And the commercial antenna protection devices that apply short. I'm sorry, but I'm reading the third question. In this case, I would disconnect all external cabling. In all cases, it's a great idea to get out of the station during thunderstorms. Okay.
You think?
Also, you can buy insurance from ARRL for radio equipment.
That's actually fairly inexpensive.
Okay. How about another question? Ray. Yeah, Ray. No more questions? You know everything now? Wow. Okay. Tor, I think you had another question in there. If I look it up, I might find it.
Do you remember the question you might have had, Tor, that still wasn't answered? Oh, he has a copy of his email. Hold on, let me bring the microphone in.
This one I'm a little confused about. It has to do with circuit drawing and antenna calculation programs. Are the suggestions for reasonably priced or free circuit drawing programs which also contain tubes in its library? Does anybody know of any such software or circuit drawing program? I don't know. Did you ask AI? Probably not.
That'll be one of the recommendations too. I don't know if you guys know about Chat GPT or have used it, but if you haven't, put your question in there. You go to the website, chatgpt.com, put your question in there, and you'd be surprised what you might learn that AI knows. It searches the internet for it, and it finds it for you and gives you the information. Right.
So you can get free circuit drawing program from Easy EDA if you go online. It's completely free. It's a program used by JLC PCB, so you can draw the circuit diagram, make the printed circuit board from that circuit diagram, auto route it, and then ship it off to get the PCB made. But I don't know if it has tubes in there, but I wouldn't be surprised because it has user contribution. So, sorry? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I speak both languages. So it may be in there because you can use if you don't have a footprint for something, you can create it and put it in the library. And there's tens of thousands of people who put stuff in the library. My son actually designs tube amplifiers. So I'll ask him, and if he has a program, I'll let you know.
What was the
it's called Easy EDA.
Easy EDA.
Yes. Okay. Echo Delta Alpha.
It's not as easy as you think to say that.
Easy EDA from JLC PCB.
That's easy for you to say.
Okay, a second question along that line. Is there a suggestion for reasonable priced or free antenna calculation and simulation programs? Anybody know a specific one? Easy NEC? NEC? Easy NEC.
There's a lot of easy answers. There's your quiz. Yep.
Okay, I think we went through all of the questions you had sent to us, so I hope that helped. How about more questions? No, go ahead.
So I think my first radio was transistors and not tube. But speaking of tubes, at what point in your ham radio career did you anybody purchase or receive your first tube-based radio, I guess? Or maybe that's what your first radio was?
Well, my first radio was tube-based. It was a set of Swan Twin 600s, and they were tube-based. I enjoyed them a lot. I wish I had them now, but I don't.
I may be crazy, but I just bought a tube radio. I bought a Heathkit SB 102 and power supply from a Texas ham club. I paid a lot of money for it, but it's completely modded up and I love it. I'm sick of the computers. You know, I made a lot of money with computers. I wanted something that glowed at me. But yeah, they're still there. And I personally like the Heathkit ones because there's an infinite knowledge pool of how to fix them. Okay, there are so many YouTube videos out there about how to do it, how to fix it, how to tune it, how to do all this stuff. There's no reason why you can't get one. You'll learn a lot, and it's fun, and it keeps you warm in the winter too.
I never had a tube radio, but my grandparents had a tube TV, and I was fascinated by the glowing of the tubes back there. That I would lay behind the TV and watch them at times and stuff through the slots and stuff. So.
Okay, anybody else got a comment there? Yes.
Working high frequency DX 2040 meters. If I can hear both sides of the conversation, very few times can I make a contact. If I can just hear one side and I know the operator's talking to others and it's slow, intermittent, I can break right in. Is it a setup issue? I'm in an apartment, second story, in-fed antenna. I come to field day, the big antennas, and you got both sides pretty much everywhere.
Bob, you're kind of the resident antenna guy. What do you think?
Usually, if you can hear them, you can work them. But don't forget one thing. The guy at the other end might be running 1,500 watts into a beam, and you're trying to get into him with 100 watts and a wire antenna. So you might hear him, but he might not hear you. And it's also power level too. In other words, my motto is life is too short to waste time in pileups by using low power, right? I call them once at 100 watts. If they don't answer, I flip the switch and I go to 1,500 watts. So
Bob's motto is, can you hear me now?
Sometimes it's propagation as well. You just happen to be in the dead spot. You can hear them, but they can't hear you. Yeah, but don't give up. Just keep at it. Oh, are you able to move your antenna? Okay.
Just breaking in, and even when I have a strong big pile and towards the end and things slow down, then I can break it in and
I only run 100 watts. I've never run more than that for 40 years.
Because he's on a second floor, could grounding be an issue? No.
Don't think so. No.
Well,
It's not
I
going
can
to be an
kind
issue. The grounding won't be an issue there. Yeah.
I live in an apartment also, so I know what you're going through. I live on the fourth floor, top floor of my apartment. And I have a loop antenna. It's a chameleon loop metal one. Very good antenna. But loop antennas will only put 35 watts through it. Well, I use a 705, so I do it at 10 watts. So yes, it's very hard to get out inside of an apartment. I can take that same antenna, move it outside, and I can talk anywhere. But from inside the apartment, there is issues, and it could be walls, it could be roof, it could be electrical. There's all kind of stuff. But I'm the same way. I can hear people all over the world. No problem. I mean, some of these people are booming in. And actually, field day weekend, I actually made a contact across in Slovenia on 10 watts with a loop antenna from inside my apartment. So, I mean, it does work, but I feel you. And more than anything, I think it's just conditions and just being inside of an apartment is the biggest thing. So, but yeah.
Talking about the radios and antennas and apartments, how hard is the issue that exposed to radiation? I know a case that a guy that used to have antenna close to his desk, and he was sick all the time until they find out that the antenna was causing what he has. How hard is that issue now?
Put out 10 watts, so my handheld's put out almost the same thing. So if I'm gonna die, this is gonna kill me.
It depends.
Now, like 100 watts or 1500 watts.
It also depends on the frequency band. 2 meters is a heck of a lot better getting into your brain than HF is. So, and also one thing, if you're with the station that you're hearing, if you're hearing people from Eastern Europe, like the old Soviet bloc countries, a lot of those people are using old Russian military transmitters. Some of them are running 5 and 10 kW over in Eastern Europe, right? So you're hearing these guys at S9 and you're going over there with 100 watts, right? You might be an S0. And there are other people calling him that you might not hear, that it might be S5, S6. They're going to override you.
Pretty hard.
As a matter of fact, it wasn't too long ago where you had to go ahead and run that calculation. You didn't have to send it anywhere, but you're supposed to keep it with your station papers. And if they were knock on your door and ask for it, you'd have to show it to them. So it's always a good idea to run that calculation. And there's a free calculator at the ARRL website for you to use to do that calculation. Yes, that's still the case. Yes, a requirement.
Sit at your desk with your antenna right here. So my apartment, my antenna is probably 10 foot away from me. So it's not like I'm right on top of it, other than when I tune it.
Your antenna is somewhat directional too, though, right? So you could, okay. Okay, how about another question? Do we have any more? Yes, sir.
I've asked this before. Our club logo with the triode tube, what is it?
Something tells me I need to have the Jeopardy music right now. Do, 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 do.
I've been asking that since I joined here. I'm an electrical engineer. I can't figure out what this circuit is.
It's an OARC circuit.
Okay.
Okay. James believes it's a Colpitts oscillator.
Maybe you hold it sideways.
Yeah, but it does have an adjustable capacitor on there. You got it on there.
Yeah. Hey, Den, have you tried turning it sideways or upside down?
Okay.
Any others?
Anything else? James?
Because the question was asked about RF absorption of the human body, and I know I'm an extra, but I'm pretty sure it is on the tech, is it not? And I did do the ARRL calculation stuff years ago on the repeaters, actually. But for some reason, my mind is remembering something around 50 megahertz that power is a consideration. to take into effect that if you're over 50 watts, you could have excessive exposure if the antenna is too close to you. So lower frequencies can be critical. Well, there's plenty of stories that explains what happens when you try to warm up in front of a dish at night. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. What do you got, Dick?
Frequencies between 1 and 3 gigahertz are 100% absorbed in water or your body. And guess what frequency you have in your cell phone? Right in the middle of that. So let's be careful with that kind of thing.
Thank you, Dick.
Any other questions?
Did you enjoy this session, by the way? Maybe we can do this again.
There's a
not too soon though.
If you have any tower questions, Ken is online to answer those. Ken is our kind of resident tower expert. So if you have anything, you want to put up a tower and you have questions, take down a tower, have questions, tower, T-O.
Well, in a couple months, we have a 200-foot tower that needs to be taken down in Longwood, if anybody wants to help on that.
Ken, a question for the towers. What type of stainless steel cable do you normally use?
You can do, Roan has extra strength, high strength cables on there. They need to be rated for at least 3,000 to 5,000 PSI. Standard cabling is 299 pounds per pressure just on their minimum pressures.
Okay,
So,
is there a certain grade that they use or?
It's usually a mild steel, because including the bolts. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get a grade 8 bolt on there, which is actually the worst thing you can put on a tower because you want to know where your breaking points are. So everything is usually grade 5. So you'll have 7 strand, which is extra high strength uh, round cable, and that is usually 3/8 inch or 1/4 inch. For smaller towers, you can get away with a smaller with more strands. I prefer those for smaller towers just because I'd rather have 19 strands break instead of just 7, because after 20, 30 years, a couple of those 7 strands have already broken.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I got another tower question for you, Ken.
Mhm.
Is there an advantage of having a separate tower as opposed to just putting something on your roof? I mean, it's mostly a safety thing. And I ask because I have a 2-story house, but I live in College Park, and the utility lines run, on my back property line. So putting a tower back there, I guess it'd probably be out of the question in case a storm blew it over.
Well, they always say you don't want anything that can fall anywhere close to the power line. If there's a potential it could hit it, we want to have at least 20 feet of clearance between the two. That's the most deaths from hand-related towers are because they hit the utility line, whether it's intentional or during a storm or during cleanup. A lot of hams are getting fried just by going on their tower and dropping their antenna, and it happens to be too close to a power line. So there's a lot of issues on that. If you can get your tower or a antenna on top of your house, it'd probably be easier. It depends on what your height is. Towers are mainly made for being separate and going up to very tall heights. But if you only need 40 feet, it'd be better to go right off your roof.
All right, I got to read your message here real quick, Ken. You sat there and said in the side conversation, so
Yes.
your class has 13 students, including yourself, one
Yep.
a tech, and you being an extra. 10 have already earned tech, and 4 have moved on to general, barely. All
Yeah.
those trying for extra are getting 6 to 11 correct, so not much hope there. They're being tested 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, after lunch, and before they leave at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Holy crap!
Yep. So we're
That's a
doing
lot
the
of testing one
exam
day.
tools. Yeah, we're doing the exam tools the same as you do, and they get 1 to 2 tests. So in the morning at 8 o'clock when we arrive, we get their minds are fresh. We run the exam tools, and they can go through the test twice if they want, and then we go into starting a class, and then right after lunch they do it again. So I am surprised so many of them are getting general because the only time they have to study is about 4 hours at night. Our class ends at 5 o'clock. We all go out to dinner. So we get home to the hotel about now, and so this is their time to study essentially.
And the last thing he says, and she made an impact here. Same teacher. He remembered her. What was that?
That was Betty. So I downloaded the newsletter up here and showed a picture of it and said, "Hey, do you remember this person?" So, oh yeah. So Betty and the two other teachers were in this class 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
It's the exact same class.
Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I just had to read that. I saw the 3 times a day. And I'm like,
Yeah, well, it's the students asking for it. So they get a little competitive. These are teachers from all over the country. I am one of the three Southerners they'd called. We have one from Texas, one from Arkansas, and me from Orlando. Everybody else is from California or Oregon, three from Pennsylvania, one from New Jersey, and I think there's one from Washington, D.C. So it's 13 in total of us, but there's only three Southerners. And we've learned that they don't know how to drive up here. The red light is more of a suggestion. They sort of use it like a yield sign. So that was interesting.
Great. Yeah. There's some chuckles in the audience when you're
Yeah.
with your
Yeah,
description.
so we pulled up to a stop sign. We were the third car, and first car stopped at the light, looked, saw there's nobody going, and kept on going. Other times they see the light turns red and they go for the next 2 seconds. They just race the light, so assuming nobody's going to come. So I guess it's a New England thing. Apparently everybody here knows about it.
Excellent. All right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to read that comment yet. Any other questions from anybody? Any other tower questions?
But thank you for your participation.
Michael has one.
Well, quick advice on towers. You are regulated by city, county, and state, all depending on where you're at. So if you're in Tavares, you can build a 70-foot tower with no permit required. You're in Lake County, you have to get a building permit. It all depends on where you're at if you do want to build one.
All right, so we're talking about AI. So I put it in Chat GPT. So it says the diagram appears to be a simplified schematic representation of an amateur radio antenna system. Here's the breakdown of the schematic. The vertical zigzag line on the left could represent an antenna element or a coil inductor. I'm going by what it says. The horizontal and curved lines suggest connections or wires. The loops on the top could represent coils or inductors of often used in antenna tuning. The overall shape looks like an antenna with elements and coils for tuning or matching impedance. That's what ChatGPT says on what the symbol is.
So otherwise, like everybody else says, verify it before you post it.
So, I mean, yeah, it does kind of look like an antenna. Maybe somebody took all these different things and put them together to make it look like an antenna. So,
All right. Got a couple of door prizes up here tonight, guys. By the way, thank you, Ed, for doing that. That's actually pretty interesting. We always sat there and said that, if one of our speakers one night ends up not able to attend last minute, we'll just have some type of conversation or social hour or something. Well, we might have another one of the Ask the Elmer nights and stuff. Actually, pretty good. All right. Got three things. Got a book, a 19th edition Hints and Kinks from the ARRL, a bag of PL259s. Everybody needs a PL259. And then a signal stick antenna. Have a few of those yet. So your choice, as always. We'll pull tickets. First one's going to be last three digits 097. 097. Hey. Your choice of what you want. Antenna, connectors, or book. And book also has a sticker they sent down with it. It's like a bumper sticker. A lot of technical tips and stuff in that one. Your choice. Okay, that's interesting. All right, the second ticket 098. Draw again. All right. How about 065? Oh, right. I'm sorry. You want the PL259 connectors or the antenna? 2 meters, 440. Yep. All right. Last thing is the PL259s, and they're nickel plated. I always need Scott here right now doing this commercial about the PL259. All right. Last one 087. Come on up. I'll meet you halfway. Make it easier for you. There you go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, guys, ladies. Next meeting is next month, September the 3rd, here at the Beardall Senior Center. And our speaker is going to be Eric Nichols, KL7AJ on power, current, voltage, and resistance, also known as peer review methods of circuit analysis. That's it for everybody. Appreciate it. Come out, drive home safely. Hopefully it's not raining outside, and we'll see you next month.